All right. What's the deal with those weird Apple goggle things? At one point, is it too much technology?
Oh man, this is such a good question. I remember even, was it a year and a half ago or so when they announced what are they called? The Vision Pros
Vision
or
Pro, yeah.
the Vision Pros. And I was just like, whoa, like, are we really here? And part of me was concerned, I guess, because, obviously Meta's had their, goggles out for years and years and years, not to very much penetration in the market as far as I can tell. Apple never moves first, but when they do move, they typically move the simplest and the best. So I definitely started to wake up to kind of the vision based or goggle based kind of technology then. I just think this is just where my head is at, and Doyle and Jared, feel free to jump in here. It seems to me that what they're after is more experience or experiential based I guess experiences, or like really getting into other people's perspective as it relates to what can be seen. And before I really kind of thought about it, I was just like, well, what's wrong with a camera? What's wrong with this little device? Well, it's like it's never from the perspective of the actual viewer. You're recording something. And this is ultimately, I think, what they're after is to actually getting into the perspectives of people, of events that are happening, in real time, or even in, recordings through film. I guess my point is, like, this is my kind of optimistic read of this. It's just like, okay, that's very interesting, and that is not the current view of any film ever. I mean, even if you're trying to like get into first person kind of experiences, it's very limited. So, that was my one optimistic read. Like, okay, maybe this is really something and very interesting. At the same time, I did find, just to be direct about this, there is like you can turn off the screen in some sense so that they just kind of appear as goggles. I found it to still be pretty bizarre. I know that like some kids have these massive like Viper glasses, which I also find bizarre, sunglasses. But I would just say it's like, yeah, you really look weird to me, and so, I think my question, or I think I'm asking the same question. At what point is it too much, and I think as it relates personally to my own internal disposition, it's like, I don't have an iPad as an example, or I never thought that was helpful to me. I'd rather write on a piece of paper if I want to write, but obviously I have a laptop and a phone, and so I just think that, at least for me and my own, I'm kind of watching this unfold, asking a similar question as this. Don't believe right now that that's something I'm interested in, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mentioned that there needs to be many more conversations on this topic here at Exodus, and one of the things that I would say, if I was really concerned about something with technology, it is the ways in which this will play into transhumanism. Yeah. Not just to playing with genetics, but playing with genetics and these accompanying technological developments, which could interface with the brain and other parts of the body. So that's something that we really need to keep our eyes on moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, and to that point, I mean, Neuralink was installed, I suppose is the right verb, in the first human.
Inserted.
Yeah. I think that was 2 weeks ago now. And so, yeah, I think to your point, Jamie, there's definitely there's an optimistic read and there's a pessimistic read, pretty much on every technological development. And, at the end of the day, what will ultimately come down to is our decisions made individually through deliberation to use technology in a way that leads ourselves and others to the light of the gospel or doesn't. And I agree, Jared, that kind of staying, very eyes wide open about the future of transhumanism as technologies continue to get better. Then we start to get into a different territory. It's like all of our conversation about technology here to date has been grounded in an understanding of human nature as fundamentally communicative, fundamentally reasonable. And when we start to entertain the transformation of human nature away from, a being with endowed with reason, created in the image and likeness of God, to something else, something that's in the image and likeness of man, so to speak, I think that that's ultimately where, at least the kind of the foundation of this conversation becomes one that's totally different. And I think might be one of those lines you can draw in the sand about at what point is it too much technology.